Can Ohio State win a national championship this year? Ryan Day has his hands full, but in a sense, he almost doesn't because of the talent that he has returning. When you look at what this roster provides, as well as the schedule that they have to play, we will take a look at both and see how Ohio State can get back to the college football playoff and win a national championship. Now, the first three games, almost like warm up games, if you will, Indiana isn't really a concern, even though it's on the road. Youngstown State and Western Kentucky also, really not concerns. Western Kentucky's offense might give this defense a little bit of trouble early, but I don't foresee that being a big issue. The only thing that maybe they get in trouble with is looking ahead to the next game, but I don't think that Ohio State is going to fall into that trap. Now, the trip to Notre Dame is one of the biggest games in college football this year. This is a game that was really big last year. Ohio State found a way to win that game in 2022. And I think that Notre Dame is going to be much better in 2023, which makes this game even bigger with the quarterback battle going on. Hopefully, Ohio State has it figured out by this point. If they don't, maybe they're in a little bit of trouble. But when you look at what this team has in terms of returning talent, there's really not too much to be concerned about. Notre Dame, again, very good team. It is on the road, so that's going to be interesting. We've seen what Notre Dame's been able to do at home against some top 10 teams, I mean, top five teams as well. Going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a hard fought battle, but it's going to be a good indicator of where Ohio State is and where they need to go. Then you get Maryland at home. It shouldn't be too much of a concern. At Purdue should also not be too much of a concern. Then again, we've said that in the past, and we've seen how some of those games go. The next two games, though, are pretty difficult. Home game against Penn State, another team that's going to be very good, and at Wisconsin, a team that should be much improved under Luke Fickell in his first season there. At Rutgers, don't really need to worry about. Rivalry game against Michigan State at home shouldn't be too much of a concern, especially what we saw from the Spartans last year, but you never know there. Minnesota is going to probably take a step back if you're being completely honest. There shouldn't be too many problems with that game. And then obviously the game at the end of the year at Michigan. That is a game that you'll obviously want to keep circled. Ohio State is ready to knock Michigan off of the top of the Big Ten. And again, this is a team that when you're looking at who is going to compete for the Big Ten championship, you pretty much just look at the East and it's take your pick between Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State this year. Now, Ohio State's schedule with that, just those teams in general is a difficult schedule. You also draw Wisconsin from the West, like we talked about, and Notre Dame in the non-conference schedule. This is a very challenging schedule in general. This is a team that wants to get back to the Big Ten championship, has to go through Michigan, who currently sits at the top. And you also have to face, again, a tough team, a better team in 2023 in Notre Dame. So that's plenty of tests for this team, a team that, again, is very experienced, has a ton of talent returning, but you're going to have to face plenty of stiff competition. That bodes well if you're able to win out, because if you get to the college football playoff, with a schedule like this, there's not much that's going to really slow you down in the college football playoff. It's something that I think, kind of helped them last year because they saw so many good teams. They were able to handle that adversity when Georgia was scoring against them, and they nearly came away with the upset there. So this is, again, a team that is going to be really good. And if they can navigate the challenging schedule that's in front of them, then this is going to be a team that competes for a national championship. Now, when we talk about the offense, Ryan Day has plenty of talent to utilize, even with the loss of CJ Stroud. The wide receivers are absolutely loaded. Marvin Harrison Jr., to many, could have been the first pick in the NFL draft this year. He would have definitely been the first wide receiver taken. Emeka Egbuka is a future wide receiver in the NFL as well. Mayan Williams and Travion Henderson return in the backfield. Now, Kyle McCord and Devin Brown are battling for the quarterback spot. I think Kyle McCord is going to win that job, but that is something to keep an eye on as well. If Kyle McCord can handle the transition, can handle the competition, and is able to pull away with the win in that quarterback competition, I think that you're going to build some momentum early with those three games we talked about. Then you get to that Notre Dame game on the road, the first big test for Kyle McCord in his collegiate career. And you're looking at someone that I think has the potential to be really good. And if he's able to take a step forward in that game, Ohio State is in business. Now, we flip to the defensive side of the ball. That's where most of the questions are going to be. This is a defense that was much more aggressive in 2022 than it was in previous years. And I think that's going to continue when you look at what this team did last year, and when you look at the talent that they have returning, there is talent on all three levels that can be utilized and can take a step forward. Tommy Eichenberg returns as leading tackler for the Buckeyes. And you look at yeah, the talent that this team has, it's kind of similar to a lot of the bigger teams that have been in the college football playoff, like the Georgias, the Alabamas. Ohio State recruits at such a high level that you almost don't have to worry about what they're going to do because they just reload and they bring in 4 and 5 star talent that's going to compete for starting spots and find a way to be one of the best position players or one of the best players in college football. And even in the transfer portal, they had a safety in Jihad Carter, who to me was one of the more underrated players in college football last year for Syracuse. 3 interceptions last year, a couple of nice picks against quality teams, one specifically against Clemson. You look at what he was able to do, he provides some really good play for a secondary that is going to be extremely talented once again. Just a matter of taking that step forward. Again, Ohio State, super talented. There's really not too many concerns. It's just a matter of putting everything together and finding a way to be a good unit on both sides of the ball, offense and defense. The quarterback battle obviously has to get figured out. The defense has to become a better unit. I think that's maybe the one thing that must improve if you're looking for something in 2023. This was a group that struggled against Georgia, which is understandable, but it's not the first time that they had struggled that year. So I think if they're able to become a more explosive, a more shutdown unit, then Ohio State's in better hands that in that regard. But this is again a team that's going to compete for a national championship because of the talent they have returning. Ryan Day is doing a phenomenal job. I'm really pleased with what we've seen from him ever since he took over for Urban Meyer. And this is a team that's competing for national championships year in and year out. They have to obviously get back to the top of the Big Ten, and beating Michigan is a good way to do that. The schedule presents plenty of challenges, but again, this is a team that should be competing for Big Ten championships. This is a team that should be competing for national championships. And with the team they have returning, they're only 1 or 2 questions away from meeting that goal.